Not at all.
Turn it up down here, man.
Underestimated and still I made it. In the book of hard knocks, I'm highly educated. Nobody chose me, looked over, but still dedicated. Played in the league for 13, I ain't gotta be favorite. 2 Super Bowls, Honolulu, I stood with the greatest. The thing is this, that never rich, I'm good with my neighbors. DB precision, television, ain't asked for no favors. Numbers don't lie, neither do pictures, just look in the papers. No backing down or turning back, part 2 of the movie. Never the biggest, but it takes more than 2 just to move me. Ain't gotta like what I'm saying, just watch me go to work. And tackle all of these topics right here on Face First.
Shoot, man, like this one's different for me. You know, I kind of had like the opportunity to do something because it's the off season that brings out the people, you know, that matter to me. Obviously, Keon, Kev, you know, we'll get into who they are to me and just who they are in general. But I got the idea, one, because we needed music. Kev does all our music. Keon wants to use Jay-Z for everything. And so then that puts us in a situation where he's mad at me because he feel like his video ain't as great as it's supposed to be because of music. But then so Kev started making us special things, right? And so I knew we have that this weekend and we'd all be together. But like the other part for me was I started looking, because I have friends that, or people, I know people that are celebrities, not because I'm a celebrity, just because I've actually run in some of those circles, and I always see that they have all these celebrity friends, and like a lot of the things that they do things with, like those dudes are celebrity, and I was like, man, like my friends are all kind of the same. You know, my friends are like the dudes I've been knowing forever, or people that I work with now, but it wasn't like all of these relationships where I know being with you in some way elevates me. It was all these organic things that happen because I'm kind of boring. And because I just am, you know, from a creative standpoint. And so then I was like, man, I want to show people my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to introduce people to, you know, the dudes that mean a lot to me. And obviously, Kev, shoot, we've been friends since I can remember really having friends. You know, and then me and you, Key, we meet 2 years ago. And now all of this kind of comes together. But it's like, all right, I meet you, Key. We have a conversation. We go back and forth with ideas you have that I don't have, right? Because I just want to coach football and talk about football. And then we're here. But, you know, through those conversations, like, oh, I played baseball, but I stopped playing baseball to do this. And then after that, you know, I had kids or whatever. Kind of talk about your journey or how you get to the space where we are now. But, you know, it started just playing baseball in Oklahoma.
Well, first and foremost, man, I appreciate you having me today. You know, sitting down, chopping it up, UK Cooks, you know, being part of the DB Precision family. And so a little bit about my backstory is, one, I'm from Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, born and raised. Went to school at Midway City High School, and that's, you know, normally known as like a big football traditional school. And so with me being a two-sport athlete, football and baseball, you know, baseball was, you know, that was my go-to sport. Like that was a sport I knew for a fact. Like I was going to be able to go to college for. Football wasn't the biggest dude, but like, you know, I had a big chip on my shoulder. You know, I thought, you know, when I stepped on the field, like you know,
man,
you're one of them
I'd have
dudes,
split
like,
you, man. Man, wasn't nobody worried about no Key. I'd have been like, oh, and straight up first, I'd have been like, you know, the same way I've been messing with Slim all weekend. I'd have straight up said, dog, if you play baseball, ain't no way you coming out here and do this. You ain't Bo Jackson.
Dog, man, like our football team, bro, like we brought a lot of attitude. Like we wasn't.
That's what all the sorry teams.
Nah, that's not that. So here's the thing. So Oklahoma football, like Midway City, was kind of like we was a super diverse school.
Right.
Like, but like, you know, you got Tulsa football, which, you know, they're mostly known for like the uppity preppy school. Like us, we wasn't that. And so
Tulsa used to whip y'all, basically is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Tulsa
used like Riverdale.
Yeah, Tulsa used
Tulsa
to.
is what it was. But fast forward, going to my baseball season, have a talk with my coach, and you know, he wants to move me to as a pitcher. So going to my senior season, baseball, have a great year. You know, won 9 games out of the 11 games I pitched. So 9-2 was my record coming out of my senior year. I had pitched against a team called Evanston FA. At the time, they were like the number 1 team.
At the time, they was sorry too.
They was not. They
Bruh,
was
first off,
what class was this? Was this like the
This was
big?
6A.
But one, think about it. All the Oklahoma Sooners that we know that usually end up good, other than Trae Young. Ain't none of them from Oklahoma.
Shoot.
Y'all go to Texas and get players.
You said first, so that's
So
all.
what about Matt Kemp?
Did he didn't even go to school in Oklahoma.
Matt
He
Kemp,
ended
Matt
up.
Kemp is from my high school.
But Matt Kemp, didn't he go straight to the league to play baseball?
He came straight out of Midwest City.
That's what I'm trying to tell you though. Like none of the Oklahoma Sooners come from Oklahoma.
That is a true statement. Facts.
Thank you.
Facts.
So that's how we know all these teams sorry.
Facts.
Thank you. Like
I mean Texas. So what would be the football state? Like if y'all was to say
Louisiana's the
Louisiana.
football state.
not Texas?
Bro, if you look at per capita, there's actually I think Georgia's number 1 now.
Right.
Louisiana's number 2 in the
Yes.
league.
I know that.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? That's what you come in here
I
talking
think
all
the
this stuff.
perception is more of the high school, maybe even collegiate, but those guys are usually transplants. So they didn't come from wherever they went. Like in LSU and like Louisiana, they're staying in state. So it's like we have homegrown talent.
OSU, like they really didn't recruit from in-state. Like,
They ain't our fault.
Because the point was y'all had no players,
Dog.
bro. If you got players,
Come on,
right?
dog.
Like if you have players, right? Then you get those players from your state to stay home. Like Louisiana doesn't have to do a lot of like, let's football wise, they don't have to go outside of Louisiana to get great players. No,
Right.
they got to do that to get hoopers though.
Right.
Yes.
Right, so like it's never like some cats in Louisiana where you like, okay, this is the guy. Other than Randy Livingston,
We knew that from the beginning.
like back in the day,
we knew that.
you know, you knew him. But Shaq's from Texas. Abdul Rauf was from Mississippi.
Gulfport.
He's from Gulfport, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Like we had like Stromile Swift maybe, but we don't. And so
We don't keep the home state basketball.
right. And so what we're saying is Oklahoma ain't had no players.
Man, I ain't gonna let y'all do me like that, bro.
I mean, you should stick up for your
we
people,
got
man. Rep your
ballers
hood,
in-
man. Like,
We got ballers in Oklahoma. You know, we just don't have the market like Louisiana and Texas do. I'm gonna just say that.
A market?
Yes, come like yo. Just
Like what market? What market do high school players have in general
I
other
think we
than
all
just
on
the
the same
ball?
playing with that. Yeah.
We,
Well, 'cause
I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
I'm
count
sure they have
Oklahoma.
Twitter too in Oklahoma, man, because everybody
We're,
puts
talk-
highlight
we're
videos
talking
up.
about 2006, like in
So
that,
we going
in
further
that,
back.
yeah, in those years. I can't speak on what what's out there now, but in 2006, like we had some dudes that can play.
But I think
Like-
some of y'all talent too be running from that Big 12 because they know they want to go somewhere like LSU. If I go to LSU, I know I'm getting a league look.
Facts.
If I go to Oklahoma, that's gonna be iffy.
Not true.
Well-
Not true. If you go to Oklahoma and play football, if you go to Oklahoma and play quarterback, right? If I'm Lincoln Riley right now, when I go recruit people, I just throw my rings on the table and say, listen, these are all the Big 12 championship rings, but also if you play quarterback, if you don't want to win the Heisman and get drafted number 1 overall, don't come to my school. Then I walk out.
Right, but if you play defense, you're trying to get to the SEC.
Well, yeah, because if they play defense,
Yeah.
you're gonna get bombed on.
Yeah.
Like every week. I mean, but you Keys kind of talking about like baseball. Like your thing was different. Like you
Yeah.
hooped,
I
and you hooped with some cats that could really play. LZ is like the one that comes to my mind.
Lenore.
You know, more than anything. But Lenore could play, and at least I felt like it. Like when I was in high school, I was like, man, it'd be really cool if I could play college football, right? And like you understand those measurables. 5'9" is not a great basketball measurable, Kev.
It's not.
I don't know why you just say play football.
Because I was just telling the story today. I started with football in high school, but my basketball coach talked me out of football because he had this plan. It was me. Remember JJ, Jerome Jones?
Yep.
So he had me and him. He's like, you guys are going to be the future. Because this is when, Rashard and all them guys gone now. So he's like, now we're ushering in. LZ's already a staple because LZ was like 6'5" when we were 15, man. Like he could play 1 through 5 in high school.
He was cold.
He was always good, so we knew that piece was there. But my coach, comes in and is like, and we had a new coach at that time because Schick left, which
Right.
won the state championship with Rashad. Then we had the assistant coach take over. So he has this plan and he shoots me this thing and he's like, look, man, you're only 170 pounds. What are you going to do playing football? Like, so I'm like, all right, cool, coach.
That's stupid. Because I graduated, I was 150.
Right. But, at
You
the
was
time,
lied to,
I was
hoodwinked, and bamboozled.
The next year, he had arthritic condition to where he had to retire. So now Coach Freelo comes in.
Yeah, remember
He
him.
hates my guts. I'm talking about everything I did. This dude cussed me out in basketball practice because I shot what should have been a 3-pointer but I stepped on the line. And I'm talking about all net, so I'm holding the follow through like, yeah. And it was on LZ. Man, this dude stopped practice and cussed me out and told me it was the dumbest shot he ever seen in his life. And I couldn't understand it, but I'm also like, I'm not used to no man talking to me like that. Like, because at this time, you know, like, the neighborhood is getting a little different. I ain't got a daddy in the house, so my thought process is different. It's like, who are you to talk to me like this?
Right.
So that kind of like.
Be honest, you want to be like, who the F is you talking to me like that?
I did. Yeah. Me and Freelo had a problem. Like,
yeah, we ain't putting this on ESPN. You cuss.
All right,
like,
good.
It is what
so
it is.
I had.
We beep it out.
All right,
like,
I had an established problem with him because he went to high school with my uncle, with Woody's dad, Brian.
Yeah.
And he's an All-American in high school, All-American in college, playing at Tulane football. He's that guy. Well, I don't know if he slept with Freelo woman or something, but when Freelo found out that was my uncle, it was downhill, man. And I'm talking about every day. I'm like, man, what you got against me? I literally asked him that. Like, what do you have against me? Like, what's the problem? So we never had that type of thing. So, you know, in that, I started moving around a little bit different, and I started loving being with my homeboys who hanging in the street. So, like, and I ain't trying to act like no Nino Brown or nothing, but my friends went into some serious shit. So basketball is now, I still love to play, but, you know, I just other stuff. I like girls, like, you know what I'm saying? I love music, so I have other interests now, so my love ain't specifically basketball.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point, like he said, man, you 5'9", it's 400 million 5'9" players. Like, what are you doing?
No, it ain't, because they can't play. So it ain't, you can actually hoop, but it ain't 400 million 5'9" basketball players. Not that play and actually get a jersey.
You're right, and that's my point.
They
so
give you like 6
you
or
have
7
to be
back
special to be 5'9", and like I knew I could. I was at a JUCO, so I could do that, and I probably could have got an NAIA, maybe a small D3 or something like that. But you know I ain't going to the league, so now I have a decision to make. So
yeah, but go ahead.
Could you dunk?
I could dunk, but I didn't. I can grab it with 2 hands for sure at 10th grade, but like I said, I was 170. Like this is a different time. We running all the time. Like, you know, I used to work out because I was bored, but it wasn't never that thought process because the guards I like were under the rim. Like I like the Magic Johnsons. Like I never.
Yeah, but I think the other piece of it is too. It's like you do these things like you love. Like I played football just because I love it. Like first time, like I tell people all the time, first time I ever touched one, I knew what the hell to do with it. Like it wasn't like coach me up. You know what I mean? We playing throw up tackle, and I know I'm gonna give you this leg. I'm gonna take it back. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you small him. I'm gonna run you over. Like all those things made sense to me, and to me it, like I don't know. Like I don't necessarily think I played in high school to get a scholarship. Like it wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? I certainly didn't play in high school to go to the league. Like that was never a thought of mine. But it's like when you start getting these letters and you start realizing, you know, that you could do it. I feel like that success kind of fuels like you to keep going. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like if you get, you know what I'm saying, you make all district or you make all West Bank or whatever, you're like, oh, okay. Like so people are noticing. And I think the lie we all tell is like, you know what, man, I don't really care what people think about me. But it's not true because we live in a world where oftentimes what people think about you ends up being how you feed your family. Whether it's what you think about me as a teacher, is what you think about me as a creative director, as a videographer, whatever it is, like those end up being the ways like you make livings. Right. And so when for you, Key, it's like, okay, I've done baseball, I beat the Santa Fe Aztecs or whatever team it was. When you realize, okay, or when did you realize or when did you accept that baseball isn't going to be it after you've pitched well, you started to get looks, and once you accept that, like what the hell do you do? Because like I didn't have to do it until I was 35.
Right. Man, it was right after my daughter was born. So I actually coming out of high school, I found out that the woman that was there at the time was pregnant. And so I had a choice to make. Either I was going to finish school, go to college, or I was going to work. And so at that time, being 17, 18 years old, like I don't know how to be a father. Right. So the only thing that I really have is, I did have my dad in my life, but like to full-fledged know how to like be a father at that age, I had no clue. The only thing I knew how to do at that time was be a provider. So I remember I went out. We had a red and white scrimmage. It was June 18th. We had a red and white scrimmage at Mid-America Christian School as I was at the time. And I went out, I pitched, like I threw a no-hitter, pitched, walked out the field, and I go into my coach's office. I'm like balling. And my coach don't even know what's wrong with me.
He probably like, man, he's like, the no-hitter really got you emotional, Keon.
Yeah, and you know, I'm in there bawling my eyes out, man. And so like I tell him, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna have to step away. Like I'm gonna have to walk away from this. And this is something I've been doing since I was 4 years old.
Right.
Like this is my love right here. Like
Right.
more than anything else. And so, at the time before, of course, my daughter came. And so I had to walk away from that, and then immediately started working. Job I was working at the time, you know, really wasn't, you know, I didn't feel like that was the place I really needed to be. So my next option was I joined the military. And joining the military was one of the best decisions I made, you know, especially that young of the age in my 20s, like still, you know, like I said, trying to figure out, you know, manhood, fatherhood, you know, just finding my place, like, in this world just as a man.
Right.
And so going to the military, being able to provide for my son and my daughter, because I had a boy 3 years after.
Well, you were working, huh?
Hey,
Man,
man.
hey,
man.
that girl can breathe around the house.
Hey, come pull it.
Yeah, you love the feeling from being broke on the first one. Right? Let's duplicate this.
Man, like
shit.
being broke, you know, being broke is not that bad.
Once I got out of the military, I attend school at the University of Oklahoma. I'm majoring in industrial engineering. And so during that time period, you know, I was still not really sure what I wanted to do once I got out of the military. One of my classes, it was more like my enterprise engineering class. You know, while I was still in like the process and systems of like businesses, I got the idea. I was like, man, let me start my own business. And so that's whenever I started a fashion company at the time. Got tired of paying for videographers and photographers to take my stuff, so I bought my own camera, invested into it, and then here we are now, man. You know, I'm sitting here with Deep Precision, bro.
So it paid off.
100%.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I remember, man, me and Keon, he just shoots me a DM. He's like, hey, man, I want to come out and get some videos of you. Right, and so the first thing I thought was like, well, we must do, because we had Will Stout at the time, worked for LSU. I was like, we must do some decent videos because he at least knows that videoing us would like be good for his brand or good to build off of.
Right.
And so, man, he wants to come there. So I was like, nah, don't worry about Baton Rouge. I got Will, but I'm doing something in Arizona. So he comes out to AZ, man. I just remember how excited he was about the first video, and he was like popping graphics up on the screen. And that's when Dreamville was out. And you know him, Jay-Z tree, J. Cole somehow in the Jay-Z tree. As long as you're like a branch off of that, you know what I mean, we're using. And so the video was cold, like it was dope, and it comes out good. And then we get in the car though, and we're talking about like YouTube channels and this and that. And that's what drew me to him and how the relationship started to build. It was really just through conversation, just like organically. And then I remember though, man, like looking for music. And I guess I never, until like last week, I never told him that my Twitter had got taken off because of him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because like he was still like trying to throw these songs on. And like I know like once I go, there's like no reeling me back.
Right.
So like I was trying to be like really patient because I couldn't understand. Like if I told you they'll be using this music, why the hell are you still trying to use this music?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so like that's how everything, I was like, look, my homeboy rap. I'm gonna get him to make us a song. We're just gonna use that, right? And so now the need for doing things became more, or we needed because we were putting out more stuff, right? The demand had gotten higher, so we needed supply, and like that's how we get here this week. But in the sense of though, you moving on from music, like your pops did music. Like I still got a guitar, you know, that you gave me from your pops.
No,
you
he
moving
gave
on
you.
from you moving on from basketball and getting into music. And then how do you push yourself or get to this position where now you're back into doing music more heavily than you have in years because life was kind of in the middle of it?
Well, I was a lady at the church that my daddy was attending at the time. And my dad lived in South Dakota. He met his wife and moved out there. So that lady told me, she was like, you're going to be in music. There's a lady at the church. I guess she was a prophetess.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Is
like,
that a word?
I think.
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
So,
I make up words all the time.
It's better than the other one I was about to butcher because I can't pronounce that one. But so, you know, at the time, and Rapid is a little small city, man. So I'm going to the Y. You know, every day I'm at the Y. I'm working on my game. I'm like, man, this is still what I want to do. But she told me that. So years later, I mean, some of the guys who I'm with in the neighborhood, they rap. But, you know, I'm garbage. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to do this because they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. B's being one of them. Well, you know, our nickname, childhood nickname is Bam for him, but his rap name is Mr. B. So I'm like, man, I'm enamored by this. But my idea of music is different because my dad plays instruments. My dad plays 5 instruments. My dad traveled the world 3 or 4 times with music. You know, the Neville brothers are related to us. So Fats Domino is related to us. So our family is musical. So my dad really didn't like hip hop, but I love the words. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I got more into the word part of it, and I just became good at it. But I got good at it sort of like he had to do stuff out of necessity. So I started wanting to do music, and then people didn't want to do me beats, and then I couldn't afford them. So I'm like, well, shit, I'm gonna learn how to do beats. So then I started making beats. You know what I'm saying? So, and in that time we work and do stuff like that. But I always had the love for music, even when I played basketball. You know, that was one of the things. But the one time when I'm away at school, I literally made the decision based on music. I was like, I'm 5'9". I don't know how long this basketball thing gonna last. I really didn't want to be in college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, nobody ever sat down and told me, hey, man, you know, you should do this or you should do that or this is going. Like, the people in my family who made it ostracized us. Like, they'll go make their own and move off and then don't talk. So, anyway, I'm sitting at the school. I'm in North Dakota, man, and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I start thinking I'm doing this to make sure they don't be like, hey, Kev, what happened to basketball?
Right.
And that was the point I got to. So I was like, I'm done.
But even with that though, like you give up, like even in giving up basketball, I think that's like every now and then people could come to those smart decisions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But to have something else that you love like that, so right away when you stop hooping, are you like, okay, I'm gonna dive into music head first? Because like they both the same type of crapshoot to me.
They are. And then that was another issue. Music for me is something that I love. Like how you said football, I knew from the gate I can do music because I always did poetry. So that's easy. But I never saw the dollar sign.
Because you always been so sensitive, man.
I'm a Virgo, man. Like
I don't know nothing about no signs, bro. All I know is when we get on the phone, every now and then I keep thinking back to sitting at the red light listening to Lloyd Player's Prayer.
He gets to see sides of me that nobody gets to see, man.
Singing.
I was.
I was like,
I was feeling that, but I went to AZ off a breakup.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
man, what's going on, bro?
When I get to AZ, man, it's off a breakup. So this song is like, I'm like, and then it was a great song.
It's a great
Lloyd song. The Player's Prayer.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm just feeling it, man. Like, I don't know he watching me. Like, I'm just doing me. Like,
well, you should have knew I was watching you because the light had been green for 20 seconds.
But no, he on the phone and I was zoned out.
It.
I was really feeling
Boy,
it.
He was on that thing. He was, Lord, please, give me one more chance. And I was like, oh.
But he's got to see me in vulnerable spots. The world don't get to see that. So I didn't let my guard down, like, you know what I'm saying? Singing in
This
front
my
of
fans right here. Like, he gonna judge me.
I judged him.
Oh, no, he judged.
No, I judge, man. And not even in the sense of like, I judge that you're going through things. I judge your judgment for understanding how to handle these things in front of the correct people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so it's like the conversations that you get to have, you know what I'm saying, with your homeboys that are separate from judgment though, those are the conversations that allow you to live life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you think about, and yeah, there's going to be ribbing, you know what I'm saying? But there's not going to be any critical critique of who you are or of where you are. I think that's and that's the point of having like not only good people around you, but people that care and understand you. But it can't be, you know, and Key and I have kind of like chopped it up about this. Like it can't be easy to lose baseball and then, you know, get into the military and be on the rise as you were, and then kind of have that taken away too. Tell us a little bit about that story and where are you from a mind frame standpoint where it's like, okay, these two things I was really good at and I love, now they both gone.
I mean, it was a challenge, you know, but it was something that, you know, I was built for. I mean, just even with being that 17-year-old kid, just taking that risk, like, you know what, I'm going to just go all out. Like, that's with anything, even with what I'm doing now. Like, I didn't know how to pick up a camera and do what it is that I do at some point in time. And so I know one thing, I just had the confidence that I'm going to figure this thing out.
Right.
And so even with me getting out of the military, was it, you know, disappointing? More so to myself, because even when I was in the military, same thing. Like I'm all in. Like I don't come from a military family. Like there's people that are bred to be in the military, you know, and I'm not one of those people. Like I'm doing this to provide for my kids, and so once I'm in, you know, I do all my qualifications, and coming out is like, dang. Like you look back and like, you know, it is disheartening.
Right.
But like I said, moving forward, you know, I got to put all those things away. I got to cope. I got to learn how to cope with like those you know, those thoughts and like those experiences of you know, of disappointment.
But when you're doing that, you really don't have a cope thought. It's more of a like this is normal. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a survivor. Like this is what I do. Like what's the next thing? So like when you bounce from one to another, for me, it's not a thought process of okay, what's next. It's like all right, this is here, because I mean, I went to college too, so I'm going to use something to make money. Like, I know at some point I'm going to make money.
Right.
But I think that you do have that time when you like, okay, I think some things reveal themselves. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, especially when you weren't doing that forever. You know, we start off playing sports, and we
Right.
think that that's going to be the avenue. But if it doesn't, then what?
Yeah, I think it's the harder part all the time is I don't know if we actually have designs on our life.
Right.
Like everybody, like once people get older and you start listening to them and you listen to successful people, they almost try to get you to believe that you have to have a plan.
Right.
Right? That you have to know, you know what I'm saying, what's going on with
Right.
you. And I don't think that we totally get that, hey, you know what? This might not be forever.
Right.
And I think whenever you're doing something that you truly enjoy, it's like that.
Right.
Right? Like if you really love it, it is like, man, you know what? I don't really know. Like I'm not really thinking about anything
Right.
else. And like you think about these dudes that play sports, and people are always like, you should have had a plan B.
Right.
Sometimes, and that's not every time, but sometimes when you are trying to accomplish huge things or amazing things or big things, it's not that you're too caught up in it or you think you're gonna get it, so you don't have a plan B. It's that you working so hard
Right.
to get it, right? And so you don't have other things in place. Now that junk gone, what you do?
Right.
You know?
And I know that's weird because I saw him go through, things with his NFL and transitional things. And to watch a person actually navigate that and be successful is actually inspiring. Because we all go through stuff, man, and like we live long enough, we're gonna have those things, but the bounce back is the real thing. You know what I mean? Like you can't control some of these other things, but I can control my response. So, and I always say, man, I'm not gonna sit on my hands. Like, what's next? Like, what are we doing? Like, something else has to happen, especially once we start having kids and families and stuff like that. Like, they're not gonna eat the excuses. Nobody cares.
Right.
Like, I don't even tell people about my high school. I'm like, I hear people always like, oh, I went to this high. I went. So what? Like, how's that affecting me today? Like, and that's where I'm at most of the time. Like, what's the next move? Now, music for me was different because I never put a dollar sign on it because I just love it. Like, I can get in here and sit in the studio and spend 8, 9. When I was little, I would go to my dad's band practices.
Right.
I don't play no instruments. I just wanted to be amongst the guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was the same camaraderie I got in sports. So when we come do stuff like this, I could do this all night. Like, I don't even have to go home. I don't need to eat. I could just sit here, but this is my safe space. Just like when I would watch him work out and do those things, I felt that was his natural element. When I come do the music, that's my natural element. Like, you tell me, man, we got a song, let's do it.
Yes, I think when it's not necessarily that the football space was a safe space for me. That was just the safe space for me was in knowing that I was preparing myself for something. Right. And I think and that's carried me through whatever it is, right? Like even in this and the planning of it and the making sure we understood what we had to do and the energies that I felt like it takes to do it. Even yesterday, like as I am getting older, right? As I am getting older, I still understand how to relinquish control. Like I've always understood that, right? If you've been cut, if you have had to work jobs you didn't necessarily want to work, you understand how to relinquish control. Right. But now that I live in space that even if I relinquish control and I understand I have people who can do certain things, sometimes you got to take that control back to get it to go the way you want.
Right.
So then now you can get back into that space. And so working out for me was taking that control back, right? Because there was all these other things that I could control. I had to relinquish control of how much I played. I had to relinquish control of how much you pay me, right? So all those things had to go. But when I was working, that was me saying, you're going to have to force me out.
Right.
You're going to have to just deny what the truth is that I did the work. And I think what the hard part is in having things you don't love, feeling that same way about them, like to find a safe space in it. You know what I mean? And, I know Key had some things where, he had seizures or things like that when he was in the military. Obviously, you just having a heart procedure and things like that. And, shoot, I almost died, right? And, like, the difference in between, like, me and, like, a lot of other people sometimes is, like, I probably would have passed away and 98% of the people I know would have never knew I was as sick as I was.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but that was my way of controlling it, because I couldn't control how you felt about it.
Right.
So you calling, checking up on me, you being worried, like that junk would have messed me up.
Right.
Right. So I'd rather just be in my space, in my box, like these people know we're dealing with it. In your situation, how did you deal with that? And did the videography, did the school allow you to take your mind away from, like, dang, I was moving up in the ranks. I feel like I was gonna be that boy in the military, and now this.
100%. Videography is an art, like it's an expression. Like bringing it even back, you know, with music, like every element that you see in the videos that I put together, like it's technically a reflection of like what, you know, my beliefs. It's a reflection of like, you know, the art that I study. It's a reflection of culture, and so yeah, it's an expression for me, because, you know, I wasn't an artsy dude. Like I didn't paint, like I didn't do, you know, I wasn't really big into like the arts, and so when I learned how to, you know, do the editing, when I learned how to actually shoot, learning camera angles and different, you know, notions within that particular like field of work, like this was something I just loved to do. Like I wasn't getting, for the first year and a half, like I wasn't getting paid to do that, because I just like the idea of the fact that I'm taking something like just from a thought or an idea,
Right.
and like I'm bringing it to the physical. Like that's pretty much it. And so when I'm talking to like you, like RC, or if I'm talking to you and like you're like, man, I got this idea for a music video. And then I sit down and I listen to it, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's dope. And then I can also too, like, you know, I can add my, you know, what, you know, some things that I've studied before too, like to build on top of that and make it better. Because a lot of people, man, like they have a hard time expressing themselves, like just in general. I mean, we see it all the time, you know, especially with like mental health, you know, in the conversation the way that it is now. And so that particular, you know, field, like videography has allowed me to, like, in a sense, like I'm not saying I put it behind like I'm just like bearing it, but like it has allowed me to, like, you know what, give me that confidence that I once had, like when I was in the military and when I was doing baseball.
And so, like, when I think about kind of where you had to go to put yourself back into it, and now Kevin, where you are going from a musical standpoint, I don't think there's many things like those creative arts, you know, or entertainment, right? Because whenever you're entertaining and you're not acting, right? When you're rapping, you're not acting. When you're creating these pieces, you're not acting. So you're truly giving yourself to people to critique.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when I'm on TV and I have an opinion, I'm not giving that opinion as some caricature of myself. Like, that's Ryan Clark's opinion.
Right.
And so whether it's social commentary, whether it's commentary about sports, you are now opening yourself up for people to see you and say, you know what? I see you and I don't accept you.
Right.
Right? Like, I see you and your you ain't good enough.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how, like, for y'all, like, I know for me it's a safe space because I have truly gotten to a point to where I'm like, as long as you understand me, you can hate me.
Well, you know, my musical process, though, I always pass him the music first because I know he'll give me his honest opinion. So my music has always been my expression, like, literally. So, like, I put anything. Like, if my dog died, that's in a song. Like, you know, if I got hurt.
You should did country.
Anything that happens to me, man, I write about it because I'm expressive. Like, I'm not the imaginative, you know, make up this storyland thing.
Yeah.
I literally write my life stories. So my music was always a personal expression. So I was more nervous to let people hear that because I'm literally, if you tell me this sucks, you hate my life. Like, this is whatever I put in it. Yeah. So I pass it to him, and, you know, I have a system of it. What you think? You know what I'm saying? Oh, Kev, I love it all. Yeah, you know, it ain't my favorite. I can build on that, you know, but I pass it to people who, or someone who I know will tell me the truth, because if I can pass that test, I really don't care about everybody else at this point. But when I first was doing the music, you know, that what I did wasn't popular. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you was rapper.
I was rapping.
That was real life.
Look, in New Orleans,
his real name was real life.
My first name was real. No, it wasn't my first one, but that was the first one I told everybody.
Hey, well, I'm tell you what.
That's better than like Killer Kev or something.
Hey, well, you already know.
It was
whenever you listen to it, I used to finish like, man, that was heavy, man.
Look, I'm putting the words on it though, man, and like, you know what I'm saying, and like, back at especially at that point, Cash Money, No Limit in New Orleans, those were the staples. You know what I'm saying? And then we had all type of like artists in the city, but nobody did what I did. And I remember going to like labels in New Orleans, and I had a rap partner at the time named Orlandis Banks, and he passed away. But his brother is a really popular rapper now. But what we did was different in New Orleans, so nobody like knew what to do with us. So we go to a record label and they be like, hey, all right, and they put the music on and like we freestyle and kick songs for 2 hours. And you know, this was my backpack era when I'm listening to Wu-Tang and doing all this type of stuff. So I'm on them. But they be like, man, we don't know nobody here that's gonna listen to that.
Right.
Like we gotta figure out a space to put y'all on. I know y'all dope, but what we gonna do? Like where are we gonna go? So when you keep going to all of these different labels and they saying the same thing, you like, well, I really don't have a pocket. You know, so which brings some of the other music that I did. Like I did a mixtape called Mr. October. Everybody loved it. I don't love it because it wasn't a lot of me. Like I did a lot of stuff because I'm picking beats with the dude who's like the DJ who did it.
Yeah.
He throw on a track. I had a BlackBerry with the side scroll, so I'm writing my songs on a BlackBerry. You know.
Well, you know what Drake said about his. If you find it in Cabo, then sell it. Mother rapper that y'all know.
Yeah, I put in some work on that, but I didn't love the music, so I don't listen to it all the time. But it's great music. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. So now I'm in a space where I'm like, I don't care. Like I just put what I want out.
But do you get to that? Is that a space of accepting you or accepting the business? You see what I'm saying? Because it could be a space of you like, you know what? The business is as such that what I have to do to go or what I have to do to be seen ain't worth it to me.
Right. I think it's a little bit of both because, you know, I told you before, like when 50 and all of them were at their peak and was going through so much drama, I was like, I wouldn't sign. Not because I don't want the fame or the money, I don't want the problems. Like I don't love that. Yeah. I just want to create. Like I want to get in, I want to create, and I want to go home. Like I don't even have a need to perform. I just want to put my music out. This is a perfect space for me what music is right now because I can stream and not even be seen. Mm-hmm. You know, that works for me because I like clowning with y'all, but I don't really like all of these people around me. Like you know, because I don't know them. So I'm always watchful and like I'm just like
right. And so now you talk about the space you're in and just wanting to create. Mm-hmm. Like obviously of the three of us, I have the best taste in movies, music. No, this is real life. Like I'm about to explain it. Right? I'm about to explain it to you why like I can know better than y'all do about the stuff y'all do.
Please
right?
explain it.
If you let me freaking explain it, I'm gonna explain it. Right? You listen to music, right? You listen to it a totally different way than I listen to music. Like totally different way. Right. When you see a visual, you look at the visual a totally like y'all can't embrace it for what it is. Right. You see what I'm saying? Y'all like, like you could be like, see right there, he could have did this. Yeah. Or you could be like, if he'd have dropped in right here. Not to me. What I know is the words rhyme and I can now see the story that he has told me. Right? All I know is I watch this visual, I understand that, and I enjoy watching it. Therefore, I can tell you what is more entertaining. Y'all may be able to tell me what's put together better. Yeah. Right? But I can tell y'all, hey, you know what? That right there, that's a hit. It's like this, because like, you don't even know that the Black Album is not Jay-Z's best album. Right? Right or wrong?
I knew this was coming.
Right or wrong? You right. Are. Thank you.
I definitely don't think that's the best album.
We called you.
Yeah.
We called you.
Yeah, and I felt like I let you down because I thought you thought that I was gonna say it was.
I thought you were gonna have my back on that.
No, we see the same on that line.
The thing was,
who thinks that?
We came to a conclusion that there's more of an emotional connection with that album.
Yes.
You know, I was, but I'm 32. I have a couple more years on me when it comes to being a Jay-Z fan. A whole decade of Jay-Z and rap that I wasn't even exposed to, like enough to where whenever I process it, and I could be like, all right, that's a dope album. But Black Album for me was just that album that, like for whatever your tape was coming up when you first heard hip hop and it's bringing you into like rap music, bro. The Black Album was that.
Keon stood up on the table like, the Black Album is the album. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not Jay-Z's best album.
I'm gonna tell you this: the Black Album.
Jay-Z know that's not his best album.
The Black Album start off with Dynamite.
Yeah, it does.
That what more can I say? I'm like, oh,
it does.
Woo.
It does.
And it did.
But you remember, because doesn't his mom come on? Yeah. His mom comes on in the beginning talking about he never gave me no pain. You remember that one? Woo. And then when it start, it's like, and then it's just, it's not the roller coaster decline. No. Right? It's not the joint that goes, but it is the joint that goes.
It's definitely, it peaked early, and then like.
But then it gets to the interlude, and that's when it returns right back up.
For you,
public service announcement.
I mean, there's a couple of gems in there, but look, I'm a Jay-Z. I would say aficionado. Like I love Jay-Z from messing with jazz, man.
Too much.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So
okay.
I do love Jay-Z's music. We've had conversations
Yeah.
about this, but the Sean Carter, the Life and Times of Sean Carter Volume 3 was the most slept on, and I think it's
very
the
good
best
album.
work before Blueprint.
But you know, first and also, you can't listen to him about this. So see, this is how I'm about to show y'all how I'm better than everybody. Right? Check this out. You didn't know that the Blueprint was better than Black Album, and those are like,
I was wrong.
yeah, those are released really close. Just like I think it's like the Blueprint 2, only in the middle. You don't think that the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is a top 5 album?
Top 5 rap album.
You know,
Rap album. They put her in the top 5 rap albums, and she literally raps 3 times on 20 songs.
you sure it was like hip hop?
Oh, hip hop.
See, that's a different thing. Rap and hip hop are different things.
Yeah, but to me, it ain't.
Right.
Like if it's hip hop, you got to have some level of speaking word, right?
She does.
Otherwise, it's R&B. But 3 songs out of 20,
Hey,
shit. I can go out and make 3 3-pointers. That don't make me a 3-point shooter.
this is very true. Not if you shoot 20 of them.
Right.
If you shoot
How
20
many did I
of them,
shoot? Did I shoot 3 or did I shoot 35 and make 3?
Yeah.
Like, it's a big difference. And I thought that the Lauryn Hill album was great, man. And it had a very big pocket. I love the music. I love the unplugged version. I just don't think it should be in the hip hop category. I think it should be in
But you
R&B.
know what though? That is hip hop. See, this is like that. This is like hip hop bigotry though, right? Because you're like, oh, she ain't rapping, but she raps enough.
no.
And her genre of music coming from the Fugees was like hip hop and R&B. And so again, you don't think that that's a top 5 album?
Top 5
Do you
rap
think?
album.
Do you think the Black
Hip-hop.
album is like a top 5 album
Of all
rap
time?
album?
No, I never said that.
Oh, okay.
No, I never said that.
So to
That was-
you, Jay-Z doesn't have a top 5 rap album of all time. Because if that's his favorite album,
That's my favorite Jay-Z.
if that's his favorite, right? If that's
Right.
his favorite Jay-Z album, that means he doesn't have a more favoritist
Yeah.
Jay-Z album. And if that rap album is not in the top 5 of his favorite rap albums, you don't have a Jay-Z album in your top 5 rap albums.
What's your top 5 rap album? Like, give me top 3.
off the top.
It don't even have to be in
Yeah.
no particular order. Just name 5 albums you love.
You don't even know.
Minus the
Top?
Black Album.
No, because the Black
I
album
can
can't
play-
be in his top 3
Yeah,
because
that's
you
what I'm
just said it's
saying.
not
He
top
can't put
5
the top.
album.
Watch the Throne. I'm not giving no numbers behind
You know
it.
what?
I'm just putting.
He might be a bigger Jay-Z fan than me.
Bro, bro.
I'm putting albums.
So Watch the Throne is Jay-Z's best album then.
That ain't
Well,
even his
'cause-
album.
well,
He
it's
showed up to
Kanye-
Kanye's
and that's why-
studio session.
Right, and that's why I didn't label. That's why I didn't say it's a Jay-Z album
Yeah.
because Kanye is on there.
But that was all Kanye. Like, that wasn't a Jay-Z's album to me.
Right, so I can throw like albums that I can listen to like on a road trip.
You're doing too much. Hey, get to
Watch the
your
Throne,
list.
Yeah.
Watch the Throne. Can we throw mixtapes in there too?
Whatever.
J. Cole's The Warm Up.
He has such a music type.
Man, it's
Like I don't know if he has like a
Kanye.
I don't know if he has like a woman type, bro. But he got a music
Hey.
type, bro. Like
But look, you saw when I said I was a backpack rapper, he went.
yeah, like if you bring him into the store, you know exactly. Like, you gotta skip Hot
Yeah.
Boys. You gotta skip that whole section. You can put Wayne in
that's
there. Here's why you can put Wayne in there. Cause Wayne got to a point to where he rapped so much, he started being respected like a New
Right.
York rapper.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, oh, he got punchlines. Ooh.
Yeah.
So that might be why you listen to one Wayne
that's
album.
the thing that's like to put a top 5 album of all time. Like we got to go through a lot of music. That's what I'm saying.
It don't have to be.
No,
No,
it
listen.
don't- I
I'm
mean,
not
I know,
asking you to go to an era that was before you.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything you like.
Lil Wayne. Lil
Which
Wayne,
one?
Dedication 2. One of my favorite, like I said, mixtapes.
All right.
That 5th spot is always the one.
Bro,
I gotta throw.
what type of creative doesn't know like things he likes? Who?
Ghostface Killer, Supreme Clientele. That's one of my favorite albums. But remember, like I said, these are my favorites, man.
Bro,
like, this is what
your
I
favorites
grew up
can't. Why are you defending?
Yeah, you
Your
have to pick
favorites can't be
they're your
wrong.
favorite. I like Ghostface. I think Ghostface was that guy for me for a while.
Yeah.
But he ain't my top 5.
But like that's what I'm saying. Off the top 5, like those would be the 5 albums that I would listen
So-
to. Like right now.
You gotta go faster than him though.
Illmatic, Blueprint,
Yeah.
I'm gonna Chronic,
Yeah.
Doggy Style, and just naming 5
That's
albums.
very West Coast.
And Southern Playalistic Cadillac music.
See? Those
And
are.
no particular order, just 5 great albums that I can play today and still love every song on it.
I'm gonna say this, and I know. Listen, of the sensitivity in this group, I'm the least sensitive, right? and I know that this answer is going to make me seem like the sensitive one. But there is no way Take Care can't be a top 5 rap album.
I love Drake, but it ain't my top 5.
Are you, bro? It's the perfect album.
But
Because even when he sings, there's rapping that goes along. Because that's what y'all try to do. That's what y'all. Oh
First of
look. Oh look at us. We're hard.
I was
And we like
Aubrey before
hip-hop.
Aubrey as far as the content.
I've listened to Wu-Tang forever. 70.
I didn't put Wu-Tang in my top 5.
Million. Well, he put Ghostface Killers.
Yeah,
Might as well
that's
be.
it. We still we listen to Take Care the same way. I love it, but we was just saying top 5 albums that I could just listen to now. Now, that would be an honorable mention because I can understand that being in somebody's top 5. I wouldn't even argue that.
Right.
And I actually think that's some of Drake's best work.
It is the best complete project.
I think so by Drake.
Gosh, you guys know nothing. How do I come to you to create visuals and for you to give me music when y'all don't know nothing?
Dude, and you can't.
And two, y'all, neither one of y'all watches enough movies to even get into that conversation.
First of all,
bruh,
he has a lot of time to watch movies
Right.
when he decides to watch movies. So he binge watches movies.
Right.
I don't have a lot of time. I'm
saying when
busy.
you sit, but dog, when you
I watch them on the plane.
I watched, what was that, ATL? Yeah. I watched a whole season of ATL sitting in his kitchen with him one night. That's how we watched that. But when he gets in the movie mode, he just movie.
Which makes me a creative.
Hey, man, you got it.
At least a hoarder of creation.
No question, I get it. But that's how he has a lot more, he can sit down and focus longer than that when he wants to.
Right, but from
I
a
ain't got
creative
it.
standpoint, like I don't really watch too many other people's stuff. Like I don't know about you. Like, do you listen to other people's music to like?
I don't watch award shows. I don't watch videos. I don't know what. My son keeps me current.
Yeah.
I love Lil Baby, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, he don't miss.
He's the one right now.
Yeah, he's Neo. He don't miss, man.
Yeah, he's the one right now.
But I don't watch a lot of stuff like that because, I mean, some of it's just not my taste, and the other is shit. I could pop in me and listen to me for weeks.
Right. I think so. I never watch me, like through TV, anything like that. I watched me a lot playing football because obviously I had to understand what I couldn't do so I could figure out how I can make it a can do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You had to figure out if you can't run with this dude. Okay, how do you fix that? So I watched me there. So I never watch my TV stuff, which is always hard now because when we're doing the edits for Face First and I'm trying to like push out promos, I gotta watch the whole show again. Like even though I know it,
Right.
just because I gotta be able to say key cut. You know, I want you to cut from 114 to 237.
Right. Yeah.
So I gotta watch it, and it's excruciating. You know what I'm saying? I hate this dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like I gotta watch, but I also like don't try to watch people who do my job. Right? One, in an opinion thought business, I don't want your thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want if we have the same thought, I want the first time I've ever heard it to be my thought.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? One, because I don't want to be influenced by you. Two, I don't want to feel like I stole it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because even if I feel it and I see somebody else say it, I'm like, well, I can't say that, right? If I'm on a show and one of my like colleagues says it,
Right.
I'm like, oh shoot, can't say that. But what's crazy is you'll be on these production meeting calls and you might have a thought, like you might say, okay, I want this to happen, or I feel this way, or I think this, and right before you talk, because somebody heard it on the call. Like, they're not necessarily saying, I want to take that and use it. They use it.
Right.
Right? And so then now it's like you got to just think on your feet and figure it out. And we talked about, like, albums. Like, I'm sure, like, those albums inspired you. I'm sure there's been movies or things or visuals that inspire you. Like, you know, I can't see somebody watching Kanye's, like, Runaway video or the whole piece he put out and, like, liking visuals and videos and being a creative and not loving it.
Right.
Right? Just because I just watching it, you know, I can't remember her name. I know she's like a Victoria's Secret model. When he's in the house playing the joints and she's like dancing to it and she got feathers. It was trippy, right? But I'm sure from a creative standpoint to see that, it's like, holy hell.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like I was that way with athletes. Like when I was growing up, like Randall Cunningham was my favorite quarterback, right? And he's my favorite quarterback, one, because he was black. And then two, we had the same initials. You know, and so like at that time, if it wasn't Warren Moon, you wasn't
Right.
seeing quarterbacks
No question.
that looked like us. So seeing Randall Cunningham
Yeah.
and seeing the fact that he was like athletic and like he ran and all like that was huge to me. Barry Sanders, but y'all know like Michael Jordan is my guy. You know, like that's he made me fall in love with basketball. But that doesn't make me special because he made millions of people across the world fall in love with basketball. But that was why like Kobe was like different to me.
Right.
Right, because Kobe was like him but he was like him in a way where we had more access to who Kobe was and what he was, and his approach to playing it, his approach to doing it, his approach to preparing for it. As being former athletes, do you take anything away from that as to just anything you do, parenting, work, creations? Do you take anything from certain athletes to say those things still hold over into what you do? Because I think that's why people go to like higher athletes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Is there like a certain athlete you like, I love that he is this way, and being this way is something I want to be?
Well, when I was younger, I loved Magic, obviously. I love Charles Barkley. I just love the athleticism and stuff like that. But as an adult looking at the sports, I loved what I saw Kobe Bryant to be at the end. Because you remember
Retired Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, the retired
Oh
Kobe
no, I
Bryant as far
remember
as the
you was
human being.
stupid for like 2 decades.
Yeah.
And I would
But-
call you and tell you how
but why
awesome he
though?
was, and I would tell you how great he was. Look at you.
It was
I was on Brian.
No. I was on an anti-Kobe campaign at one point because of the thing that happened in Denver, and when he told on people, that's against my code. So my code wouldn't allow me to look at that.
Yeah.
Then, you know, as you get older and you soften up, I start looking at him as a human being and the way that he prepared and do stuff like that. I love the way that he approached things. You know what I'm saying? Like his thought process is similar to mine when I started really like getting away from the whole hood thing. You know what I'm saying? So I always thought Kobe, and first of all, talent-wise, I never questioned it. Always amazing. Like I knew that when he came in, he was gonna be amazing. Jordan with me in his conversation has been different, and not because of the talent, but I just didn't watch Jordan like that. Like my dad didn't like Jordan. My dad was like one of those old heads that was like, man, he need to learn how to shut a ball. He's a black hole. He's selfish.
Yeah, see,
And that's what I heard.
That goes with y'all creative purism, right? Like, oh, he's different. You know why he's different, Kevin? Because he was an alien, bro.
He was. He's a monster.
And I know
He's the
like
monster.
you're a huge Kobe fan. Like you actually bought me the book, which is something. I don't know if you ever catch me on TV. My new space, I do it in the house. I got the book right behind. I got a Kobe hat. But I know we kind of share that. And we were actually together and leaving each other when it happened. Remember that?
Yep, we were leaving IMG and we were about to head back. Well, you were heading back to Baton Rouge. I was heading back to Oklahoma. Bro, I'm about to board my flight. Mo texted in the group chat and was like, Kobe Bryant died. I didn't believe it.
Right.
I didn't believe it. And then when I look around the airport and, you know, everybody like, you know, you could tell who's probably played ball.
Right.
Like you could just see it in everybody's face, man. And when I looked it up, saw it on TMZ, bro, I lost it. And I felt like a part of me died because my dad, you know, he's from LA, and so I grew up watching, you know, Magic. My first basketball jersey was a Magic Johnson jersey. Then I grew up watching Kobe Bryant. I wasn't really a big like Jordan. I didn't really get to see Jordan play, but Kobe, I watched him play.
I was asleep and he called me and said, "Hey man, Kobe died." His dog was named Harley. I was out to sleep. I was like, "The dog?" And he was like, "Nah, man, Kobe Bryant." I was like, so I wake up. I'm like, "Oh man." As a parent, man, watching how he died, it tore me up because I couldn't imagine me and my child being together as we expire, and like how he was comforting her on their way out. That had to be a moment, man. Like, even now, that's something sad. Like, even just from that standpoint, but that's tough.
I think, you know, that's what happens. Like Father's Day is obviously close, and that's what, like, that's where you find your identity.
Right.
You know, like I can be honest, man. Like you do all these things and you get all these opportunities, and we talked at the beginning about the certain friends you have and like how those friend groups change. Like those things never change to me really, and like I don't necessarily like chase certain relationships that put me in a certain realm or a certain building or in a certain circle, because like when we leave, you know, we leave the memories we have of people,
Right.
and when the stories we tell. Like the most important stories that's ever going to be told about men, about black men, are the stories that are told about by their children.
Yes.
Right? Because your children last way beyond you. You want them to be able to tell your grandkids or your great grandkids, this is who granddaddy was, or this is who, you know, great granddad was. And like you want those stories to be about the love, not necessarily be about, oh, look at this picture of him rapping, or this is the visual he created, or this is the hit where he hit so and so.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like that's the space you move in now. And I think in moving into that space, the things you can acquire have become less now they weren't important to me in the beginning. Like I drive a Tundra, you know what I mean? And so like I ain't really tripping on acquiring things or necessarily hoarding things, but I am tripping on what I leave. What do you want to leave here? Like what do you want people to say about you? If you could attend your funeral like Augustus Waters did before he passed in Fault of Our Stars, what you want people to say?
I've only had that thought, like a thought of like, man, like I'm really like about to die was when I was in the military. And so at that point, it just made me think about like, how will, you know, my family, how, like, what do they think about me in this, like, as of like today? And at that time, I thought, you know, I was living a pretty, like, I'm an honorable dude. And so if anything, like, to answer your question, you know, someone that's honorable, you know, my kids, I mean, when I leave this legacy behind, like, you know, I started my own business. You know, I've done things that the generations before me, like my father, my grandfather, like necessarily didn't provide. Like I'm leaving something behind, like even with like the real estate. Like I'm leaving a platform behind for them to where they can step right into, and my sons can take it further, or my daughter can take it further. But most importantly, man, just this man thought about me, like 50 years from now, 100 years from now. You know, like he had us in mind.
What you think, bro?
I agree. Dealing with the last issue that I just had with having the heart procedure, that was scary, man, and it kind of gives you like brevity. And I've dealt with other people dying, but I've been healthy. You know, I've never had any of those issues. So when it did happen, it made me start thinking about legacy. And like I've always tried to prepare kids, whether they're my children or kids that I coach. You have to be a man first of all. And when I say man, I don't mean aggressive and beating everybody up, but I mean you stand on what you say. You're loyal to those that you need to be loyal to. But I started looking at it from my kid's perspective, because I was like, my son was one, my youngest son, when I started getting sick. So I'm like, man, I'm going to die today and he ain't got nothing. Like nothing. And it's not that I ain't never had it. I just never set it up for him. So then, man, I went crazy. I'm like, man, look, what's this? Give me a VUL 529. Where we putting this money in? Like, because I'm thinking I'm leaving tomorrow. So if I'm leaving tomorrow, at least that's going to have my name on it so he can have it. And so I'm just more concerned about my kids being good men. You know, I have two boys. I want them to grow on and nurture someone else. So if I can instill with them all of the things that make my friend and friends love me, then those are things that I care about. So just being a good man, caring, loving, kind man, but at that time you'll step up and you'll defend your family with tooth and nail. That's what I want my sons to be.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really ever, you know, because my life's different. Like, I was there, you know, so I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
You know, like I said the prayer, you know, I wanted Jan to have somebody. I wanted the kids to grow up certain ways. I wanted Jordan to be a good man. You know, you want your daughters to be loved and cared for. My kids are so old now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 22, 20, 16. The thing for me is it's no more like the tangible things I could leave them. You know, my kids set up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like my kids, Jordan had to be good at football to go to college, or Jaden had to do he had to do any of that. Like I set all that stuff up. If I go, everybody gets rich.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, and maybe having those things already allow you the clarity to know that those things don't matter. Right? Obviously, you feel like they matter though. Like if you don't have them set up, and I have them set up, so it's not stress. It's like marriage. You know, finances are like one of the biggest arguments in marriage. But when you ain't gotta have it, you also don't appreciate it as much.
Right.
You're not like, man, I'm so glad we never gotta argue about this. No,
Right.
You just know you don't have to.
Yeah.
I know, like when I look at it, and I think I've always lived like this. I've always been this type of friend. I just want you to know I loved you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the relationships in my life where I do love people, and I don't think like they feel it, understand it, because we all love in our own ways, understand it. Those are relationships in life I feel like I failed in.
Right.
And so in the end, it's about, okay, do the people that are around you that you do care for, do they know you care for them?
Right.
And then do they know that you care for them enough and sufficiently?
Right.
And I don't think actions, like, all we ever do is just judge off of actions, right? My dad said this up for me, this up for me, this up for me. That man loved me. Or Keon, you know, my dad gave us this platform 50 years down the line. We're set up because of that. Like, that may be the way that they end up knowing that they love you, right? Like, if you're a rapper and you put out an album, you know how you know people love you? Because they streamed it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you put out a visuals, you know how you know? Because this many people viewed it, or these many people are asking you to come do it. The same thing in football. We pay you money because we love you. TV, we pay you money because we love you. But I think in the end, it's about, okay, what has our love created?
Right.
And if you create the right things, then it's good. But man, I appreciate both of you boys, man. I think that's a good spot to end in. Like, this is different for Face First. The only thing I've ever really done outside of that was Marcus. This was important to me. I've had this scheduled forever, and this wasn't going to change. So I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, Kel.
As usual.
Y'all check out the next episode.